This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm talking about the Micciche Family Money Principles. It's a framework I created back in 2019 to help guide the financial decisions that our family makes, both big and small. Yesterday, I talked about lifestyle. Lifestyle is the most important foundation. If you're building the house, you got to put that foundation in through strategic lifestyle decisions. And that has to do with spending, saving, even where you live, car you drive, like looking at your overall financial picture. Where you spend your money, how you spend your money says a lot about your values. So you want those values to be consistent, or you want that spending to be consistent with your values, your beliefs, what's important to you. Another very important leg of this stool, we've built the foundation with the lifestyle. I'll just continue with the house analogy. We're going to continue next with building the walls. And the walls would surprise some of you. It's giving. Giving is always an afterthought for many, many people. But the benefits of giving are numerous and powerful and well studied and researched and documented. If you're giving, if you're generous, you're not selfish. Selfishness and self-centeredness is a very destructive force, not just outside of yourself, but for you as well. So we want to avoid this constant inward focus on me, I'm the center of the universe. And when you give, whether that's through your time, it doesn't have to be necessarily volunteer work, although I would argue it should include some of that time. Face-to-face time. It could be a neighbor across the street who's a widow or widower living alone. I have somebody in my neighborhood who is like that, and we try to visit him periodically and see how he's doing. I see him most weeks actually because he also goes to our church, but I always try to, talk to him and check in with him and try to do things for him occasionally when I can. So, time, talent, what are you good at? My husband is a CPA. He volunteers as the chair of the finance council at our church. He's using his skill set as a way to give back to our church who needs that expertise. And then the treasure, which is your money. So there are multiple ways we want to give. And in our lifetime, we make decisions every day. We want to make decisions that are not just serving our own interests, but are serving the common good and those around us and benefiting the community. And I think most people listening would agree with that. So some practical ways that this applies in the real world is, what is your giving right now? If you are not giving anything, which is actually a lot of people, that's fine. I'd give you the same advice that I'd give somebody who is just starting out with retirement savings or hasn't been saving anything. Just start where you are. Give a little bit. Giving a little bit is better than giving nothing at all. If you already are giving, especially if you share the Judeo-Christian worldview, is that 10% is a good target to shoot for. That's actually interesting because that's exactly the amount of income that you'd want to save too for retirement. So saving 10% for retirement, giving 10% away every year is a nice goal to strive for. Another interesting goal and a way that this applies in the real world and something that I'm working towards we're working towards in our family is we want giving to eventually become our largest monthly expense. And you can only do that if you're living a strategic lifestyle, living below your means, not spending all of the money that you make, and living in a way that supports your ability to give and give generously and not be so focused on my wants, my needs, but being able to let go of your money is a very important character trait to have. We want to be able to let some of that go so we're not so greedy with our money too. So giving, it fosters a lot of positive character traits like generosity, gratitude, unselfishness, focusing on other people and their needs, not just our own needs as well. So I mentioned time, talent, and treasure. Those are important. There's some other practical things you could do as well. For example, if you are already giving, you don't always have to do this, but giving anonymously is really powerful because some people give for the wrong reasons. And if you give anonymously or you're pretty covert about how much you're giving and how you're giving and what you're giving, it takes away a lot of the temptations that can come from giving, which is pride and getting that recognition and everybody saying, oh, wow, look what he did or she did. And we want to avoid those things. So you don't always have to, but I think it's a good practice to also give anonymously if you're already giving, and just focusing on how can I do more? How can I make volunteer work a priority? And where does it fit in my schedule with all the other obligations that I have? These are all important questions to ask. And like I said, if you are not giving anything right now or you're giving a small amount, I would just start where you are, give a little bit more than what you're giving today, volunteer a little bit more than what you're doing today. Go visit your neighbor across the street who lives alone and is probably lonely and needing some social connection. There are lots of ways we can look outside of ourselves and look at the needs of those around us, and we'll all be better off for it. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Micciche, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.